Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new to my channel, my name is Carmen. Welcome. So in this video today, you're going to find out if you have a karmic debt or a karmic blessing. Now, I did a video about karmic debts a couple of years ago, but I wanted to do an update to that video, and I also wanted to add more information to it. But let's talk about what a karmic debt or a karmic blessing is first. So some numerologists see a karmic debt as being misbehavior in a past life. So you misbehaved in a past life, and now you're having to make up for it in this life. So that's the way some numerologists see it. But I and some other numerologists see it differently. See, I don't see it as that you misbehaved in a past life. The way I see it is that you chose to experience one experience in a past life, and so now to balance it out, you are choosing to have the opposite experience in this lifetime because you wanted to see what it was like to be on the other end. And in that way, you are getting the full spectrum of experience, right? Because you saw one extreme on one end, and now you're seeing the other extreme on the other end. And in this way, you're kind of neutralizing the experience, right? And you're balancing it out, whatever it was that you experienced in that previous life. So I look at it more as a choice, right? It's a choice you made rather than it being something that's being forced upon you, right? So there are some numbers in numerology that have karmic debts attached to them, and if you have one of these numbers in your core chart, then you have a karmic debt. And we're going to go over in just a few seconds which numbers exactly these are, okay? Because it's not all of the numbers, it's just a few specific numbers that have these very specific debts attached to them. And we're going to talk about why I see it more as a karmic blessing than a karmic debt. So I'm going to show you how to calculate these numbers right now and where to find them within your chart. And it's very simple. It only takes a few minutes. It's very easy. So I'm going to really quickly show you how to calculate your life path number. And if you already know your life path number, which a lot of my viewers do, I want you to still watch this part because you might not have the final two numbers before your life path number correct, right? You might not either know what those numbers are, or it might not be accurate for you. And it's those final two numbers before you got your life path number that are going to be key to discovering if you have a karmic debt, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take the month and the day and the year of your birth and reduce each one of those to a single digit. So in this example, December reduces to a 3, right? Because 1 plus 2 is 3. And the 14th reduces to a 5 because 1 plus 4 equals 5. And if we add all of the numbers together in 1995, we get a 24. And 24 reduces to a 6. So then we're going to take all three of those numbers, 3, 5, and 6, and add them together. And when we add them together, we get a 14. And 14 reduces to a number 5. So this person's life path number is a 5, but it's a 14-5, right? Because the final two numbers before we got the 5 were 1 and 4. So whatever the two numbers were that you got before you reduced it to a final number, I want you to take note of what those two numbers are, because that's going to help you to determine if you have a karmic debt. If you get an 11, 22, or 33 as either the month, day, or year, or as the final two numbers, you do not add those numbers together because they are master numbers, and you would just add them to the other numbers as they are. And if you're triggered by this method that I'm using here, you can go ahead and use whatever method you want to use, but just know that this is the preferred method used by most numerologists to calculate a life path number. Sometimes I will use the method of adding the numbers straight across, but this is my preferred method. So after you have done all the calculations, if your life path number was a 1, 4, 5, or 7, then you might have a karmic debt.
But it won't just be any life path 1, 4, 5, or 7. If your life path number is a 1, but the final two numbers that you added together before you got the 1 were a 1 and a 9, then you have the 19-1 karmic debt. If your life path number is a 4, but the final two numbers that you added together before you got the 4 were a 1 and a 3, then you have the 13-4 karmic debt. For the number 5, if the final two numbers that you added together before you got the 5 were a 1 and a 4, then you have the 14-5 karmic debt. And for the life path 7, if the final two numbers that you added together before you got the 7 were a 1 and a 6, then you have the 16-7 karmic debt. Okay, so not all of these numbers will have karmic debts. It's just specifically if you have those final two numbers before you got your life path number. And it's also important for me to mention that this doesn't just apply to your life path number as well. Any of these karmic debts can show up within any of the core numbers of your core number chart, such as your expression number, your soul urge number, your birthday number, your personality number, or your maturity number. So make sure to check those other numbers as well. I'll put links below to videos on how to calculate these other numbers so you can check them out if you want to. It will not have the same effect on you if it is one of these other numbers. Okay, it's going to have a stronger impact and a stronger effect in your life if it is your life path number. If it's one of the other numbers, it might affect you or it might not, right? But it will be more significant if it is your life path number. So now I want you to check the timestamps below, because I'm going to put the timestamp for each one of these karmic debts below so you can find out more information about them. Let's talk about this karmic debt. And first off, I do want to apologize for my voice because it is a little bit raspy right now because I've been coughing due to allergies, so I do apologize for that. And I want you to keep watching until the end of this section because I'm going to include some famous people throughout history who have had these karmic debts so that you can see how accurate this is, but more importantly, so that you can see how this is a blessing in disguise. That's the most important thing. It is a blessing in disguise. And you will see that with the famous people examples at the end. So keep watching for that. So here is the 119 karmic debt. And I've put an example below to show you exactly how to calculate this, just in case you might have some confusion. So if your life path number, and less significantly some of the other numbers in your core chart, are a 119, then you have the 119 karmic debt. And what this is basically the misuse of power or independence in a previous lifetime. And what that means is that in a past life, you were someone who was given a lot of power or independence and misused it in some sort of way. So you could have been a leader of a country or some sort of very powerful authority figure, and there was a misuse of power that happened basically. And so in this lifetime, you are going to be tested. At some point in time, you'll be given power again, and you'll be tested by the universe to see if you use it responsibly this time, to balance out the energy of what happened in that previous lifetime. And 1 is the number of the leader, and 9 is the number of humanity and the world. So one of the lessons you're learning in this lifetime is how to be an authority figure among people, right, who helps people out and uses their power responsibly to help people and to help the world. Or if not this, you might have had a past life in which there was a misuse of independence. So either you were somebody who was very highly dependent upon other people to meet your needs and to be able to survive, or the opposite, and you were highly independent, too independent, right? You were too independent in some situations in which you would have benefited a lot more had you included other people in your journey and didn't go about everything alone and by yourself. And so one of the key things that you will notice with this karmic debt is that a lot of people that have it will be very resistant to help. They will stubbornly resist help as much as they can. They do not want to ask others for help, and their independence is very important to them. So it's kind of like this independence is self-imposed, right? It's like they don't want to listen to others often, or they don't want to accept the help or advice from others. And they don't ask for help because they feel like they're going to be losing some of their power and independence if they do that. And they don't ask for advice because they feel like their way is the best way. And so this relates back to the misuse of power as well, because sometimes these people were dictators, right? Like dictators in a previous life. And with dictators, they often, it's their way or the highway, right? And so they often will not seek advice from other people. So it can become like a self-imposed prison that they have put themselves into if they do not open up to interdependence instead of independence, right? Where there's mutual need for advice, help, and love from other people. And often they will feel like they are forced to stand up for themselves, right? That basically that there's nobody there to take care of them, that they have to take care of themselves. They always have to defend themselves. They always have to watch out for themselves because nobody is going to do that for them. And they often feel like they are left standing alone because of this karmic debt. But like I said, this is a blessing in disguise, because people with this karmic debt, they often learn how to become some of the best leaders and authority figures in the world. And they learn how to become leaders of themselves, right? Because they learn how to become highly independent and self-sufficient, and to be able to stand up for themselves and take care of themselves. But they also learn how to become leaders of other people, right? And not misuse their power, and take advice from other people, and include other people in the process, right? Because a leader is a good leader, not just because they know how to tell people what to do. They involve other people, and they know how to, get advice from other people when they need to, right? People that are going to know certain things that can help them and that kind of thing. And they know how to bring people together through all of this. So people with this karmic debt, they often learn these skills, how to become great leaders and authorities of themselves and of other people as well. And as you can see, Queen Elizabeth I of England had a karmic debt 119 life path number. So not this current Queen Elizabeth. This is the first Queen Elizabeth that was born in 1533. So as you can see, her life path number reduces down to a 19-1. And she is considered, in England, she is considered to be one of their greatest monarchs. And some people consider her to be one of the greatest female leaders and just leaders in general throughout history. And she was definitely tested with her power, right, throughout her reign. And the appropriate use of power was being tested by the universe with all of the colonization that took place during that time. But she did a lot of things that greatly advanced her country, and she wouldn't have been able to do any of that if it wasn't for this karmic debt. As you can see, this karmic debt is definitely a blessing in disguise, and I want you to see it that way, because the way you see things creates your reality, right? And that's when everything starts to change. So let me know in the comments below if you have this karmic debt and if it resonates with you. I would love to know, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with other people, because these videos are very difficult to make and they're very time consuming. They take me hours and hours to put together. And so you hitting the like button is just a very beautiful way of saying that you appreciate this if there's some benefit that you got from it. And if you want to get a personal reading with me, I'll put all that information below in the description box. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Let's talk about this karmic debt. And first off, I do want to apologize for my voice because it is a little bit raspy right now because I've been coughing due to allergies. So I do apologize for that. And I want you to keep watching until the end of this section, because I'm going to include some famous people throughout history who have had these karmic debts. so that you can see how accurate this is, but more importantly, so that you can see how this is a blessing in disguise. That's the most important thing. It is a blessing in disguise. And you will see that with the famous people examples at the end. So keep watching for that. So this is the 413 karmic debt. And I put an example here so that you can see exactly how it was calculated, if there's any confusion. And this will apply to you if your life path number, and to a lesser degree, if the other numbers in your core chart are a 4. But not just any 4. The 2 final numbers that you got before you got the 4 have to be a 1 and a 3. And I've gotten questions about if the 2 final numbers before the 4 were a 3 and a 1, so like a 31-4, if this applies to them as well. And what I've seen is that sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. So just see if it resonates with you. But what this is basically a misuse of work in a previous lifetime. So in a past life, you might have been somebody who had other people doing all of your work for you. So you might have been somebody who was very well off and had a lot of servants, or, you had people waiting on you, or you had other people, doing things for you basically. So to balance out that energy in this lifetime, you're having to work extra hard, right? Doesn't it feel like that? So in that lifetime, you were somebody that didn't have to do a lot of work. You kind of maybe coasted through life, and, other people basically did your share of the work. So now in this lifetime, you're doing not only your share of the work, but it seems like you're doing like 10 times the amount of work sometimes, right? Doesn't it feel like that? That you feel as though you're putting in 10 times the amount of effort as everybody else, just to get the same level of achievement and success that they have, right? And in some situations, even if you put in 10 times the amount of work that other people put in, you still don't get the level of achievement that they do. Often you will feel like that with this karmic debt. And sometimes people with this karmic debt will just kind of give up because they feel like the world is against them. Like no matter what they do, no matter how hard they work, they just can't achieve what they want. And other people, with other people, it comes so much more easily, and they can't figure out why. And, they, with good reason, they just feel like they want to give up. And that's common with them. And so, you'll see that sometimes where they just go through periods of laziness, where they don't want to do anything because they just feel like their past efforts have never really gotten them anywhere. And because of the 3 energy in the 1 and the 3, sometimes these people will be scattered in their energy, right? They'll be taking on multiple projects, trying to accomplish all of these things at once, but not really focusing on just one thing at a time. And this scattering of energy, and not just putting in all of your effort into one thing, this can make it difficult for them to achieve what they want, and it can be a contributing factor to why they feel like they are working so hard and working harder than everybody else. And I often hear from people with this karmic debt that they have to toil and struggle to accomplish anything, and even some of the most smallest little tasks require so much effort from them on their part. And another thing too is that they often feel like, obstacles are constantly being thrown at them, right? It's like they overcome one challenge and then suddenly another obstacle is being thrown at them time and time again. It's just one thing after another. So that's very common with this karmic debt. And basically, you are learning how to put in effort in order to achieve things. You learn how to set goals and how to put in the necessary effort and take the necessary actions in order to achieve those goals. And you really learn how to master this, right? You learn how to master the art of working hard a lot better than other people do. You learn how to focus, you learn how to maintain order in your life, and because these are essential for success, right? You often learn how to maintain a schedule and how to keep appointments and how to follow through on things, right? That's very, very one of the things that people report to me, that this is one of the things they learn how to master. They also learn how to master how to keep their environment neat and in order and under control, and to not procrastinate on things. So, people might struggle with this karmic debt in the beginning, but eventually they become really good at doing all of these things. And so, it's a constant, steady stream of effort on their part, but in the end, it pays off really, really big for them, because some of the wealthiest people in the world have this karmic debt as their life path number especially, but even you'll see this karmic debt as some of their less significant numbers too. And I did a video about how to use numerology to find out when and if you'll become super wealthy. And if you look at the charts of some of those wealthiest people, a lot of them have this karmic debt. So this pays off big for you guys in the end, and that is the blessing of this, is that you learn how to become the most successful and accomplished version of yourself. You learn how to do all of these things that other people don't have to do, because they didn't have to, they coasted through in life and you didn't. You were putting in the work and the effort and getting things done, and you eventually learn how to master success, and it pays off big time in the end. And I want you to take a look at these charts. As you can see, Oprah Winfrey, her life path number is a 413 karmic debt. And we definitely can see this within her, right? Because she is somebody who has had to overcome a lot of obstacles and adversity, right? She came from a very disadvantaged background and had to work really, really hard to where she is. And she has become one of the most successful people in the world and one of the most successful women of all time, right? And she's a billionaire. She's one of the billionaires that I put on my list. So as you can see, this karmic debt is definitely a blessing in disguise, and I want you to see it that way, because the way you see things creates your reality, right? And that's when everything starts to change. So let me know in the comments below if you have this karmic debt and if it resonates with you. I would love to know, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with other people, because these videos are very difficult to make and they're very time consuming. They take me hours and hours to put together, and so you hitting the like button is just a very beautiful way of saying that you appreciate this if there's some benefit that you got from it. And if you want to get a personal reading with me, I'll put all that information below in the description box. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Let's talk about this karmic debt. And first off, I do want to apologize for my voice, because it is a little bit raspy right now because I've been coughing due to allergies, so I do apologize for that. And I want you to keep watching until the end of this section, because I'm going to include some famous people throughout history who have had these karmic debts, so that you can see how accurate this is, but more importantly, so that you can see how this is a blessing in disguise. That's the most important thing. It is a blessing in disguise. And you will see that with the famous people examples at the end. So keep watching for that. So this is the 514 karmic debt, and I put an example here to show you how it was calculated, just in case there's any confusion. And this will affect you if your life path number is a 514, and to a lesser degree if the other numbers in your core chart are a 514. And like I said, it can't just be any 5, it has to be a 14-5. So the final two numbers before you calculated the 5 have to be a 1 and a 4 to have this karmic debt. And so basically what this karmic debt is it's the misuse of freedom in a previous lifetime. So what that means is that you were somebody in a past life who experienced a misuse of freedom. And this can be on either end. It could be that you were somebody who took other people's freedom away from them, possibly enslaved other people, or it could be that this happened to you, right? You were somebody who was enslaved and other people took your freedom away from you. So you might have been a person who was enslaved, or you might have been a prisoner, or a person who was held captive. Basically, your freedom was taken away from you, right? And it could go either way. because now in this lifetime, you're experiencing the opposite end of the spectrum in order to balance out the energy of what happened in that past life. So now in this lifetime, you are being given an abundance of freedom, and basically you are learning how to use freedom responsibly, right? Because freedom in a past life basically wasn't used responsibly, right? It's either you didn't use the freedom responsibly towards others, or it wasn't used responsibly towards you. And so now you are learning how to use freedom responsibly and experiencing what that responsible use of freedom is like. And people with this karmic debt are often given an abundance of freedom, with less responsibilities and less attachments. And they are basically being tested by the universe to not overindulge in this abundance of freedom that's been given to them. Because that can often happen, right? They've been given all of this freedom to kind of make up for what happened in that past life, and they often overindulge in it. And freedom becomes very, very important to them, right? So they often will try to avoid commitments, and this is all kinds of commitments. So commitments in relationships, commitments to jobs, commitments to places where they live. Avoidance of commitment often leads to less responsibility and less attachments in life, because they're trying to balance out what happened to them in that past life. And so often you will see them experience a lot of anxiety and a lot of panic if somebody tries to take their freedom away from them, or if somebody tries to force a commitment onto them and they're not ready for it. This is very, very common with them. And then also, you will often see that they feel very claustrophobic too. So they can be claustrophobic in terms of the place that they live. Sometimes you'll see them kind of moving away from big cities to be, more on the outskirts because they feel like their freedom's being taken away from them if they're around so many people in a city. So they often prefer more rural environments. And they can also feel very claustrophobic within relationships and at places of work. When they start to feel this way, you will often see them running, right? So changing jobs frequently, changing relationships, or changing places that they live in frequently, because at some point they usually will start to feel claustrophobic. So experiencing constant change is something that people with this karmic debt have to get used to. They have to adapt at ever-changing circumstances and unexpected occurrences. So that's another one too, where they just feel like there's constantly unexpected things that just happen out of nowhere, right? So constant change and constant unexpected things that just pop up. And often people say that with this karmic debt, they feel like they're on a roller coaster ride. And they must learn to be stable during all of the change and all of the unexpected things that happen. And they learn this. They learn how to maintain stability. And they learn how to become very flexible and adaptable too, right? Because they get used to so much change constantly happening. So they become really good at this. And there's a risk for overindulging in sensory experiences with this karmic debt also. So sometimes you will see them falling victim to substance abuse, such as drugs and alcohol or food, so basically they have to learn how to control themselves. So learning how to not overindulge in life is going to be a big one for them, and maintaining stability throughout everything. And this is all kinds of stability, even emotional stability. So orderliness in one's immediate environment is crucial to maintaining clarity and focus. Mental and emotional stability must be attained in order to avoid being thrown about by all of the changes that will happen in the world around you. And taking on more commitments is really going to help people with this karmic debt, because commitment is something that they often try to avoid. So don't avoid it. And the blessing with this karmic debt is that these people really learn how to balance being stable while maintaining their freedom at the same time and enjoying and experiencing life to the fullest. I will say that out of all of the numbers, these people have the chance to really experience life to the fullest and to really see what the world and what life has to offer, while also mastering the art of stability at the same time and learning how to be flexible and adaptable. And they really get to see how wonderful life can be with fewer attachments and responsibilities. Because we have been taught by society that the more attachments and more responsibilities you have, that the better your life will be. But these people, they get to see through the illusion of all of that. They get to see that that's not actually true. And that life can actually be so much better when you don't have all these extra things and people and situations that you're attached to. And they get to live their life on their terms in the way that they want to without anybody pulling the strings, right? So that is a gift that's been given to them. And take a look here. As you can see, Abraham Lincoln, he had a 514 Karmic Debt life path number. He's a really good example of this because freedom was very, very important to him, right? It was extremely important to him. And he took it very, very seriously. It was the central focus of his presidency. And he's responsible for ending the enslavement of people that was happening within the United States during that time. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was enslaved himself in a past life. And so that's why it became so important to him to end it in that lifetime, right? And he probably wouldn't have been able to do what he did if he didn't have this karmic debt. So you are in really good company here, having the same karmic debt as Abraham Lincoln. As you can see, this karmic debt is definitely a blessing in disguise, and I want you to see it that way, because the way you see things creates your reality, right? And that's when everything starts to change. So let me know in the comments below if you have this karmic debt and if it resonates with you. I would love to know, so let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with other people, because these videos are very difficult to make and they're very time consuming. They take me hours and hours to put together. And so you hitting the like button is just a very beautiful way of saying that you appreciate this if there's some benefit that you got from it. And if you want to get a personal reading with me, I'll put all that information below in the description box. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Let's talk about this karmic debt. And first off, I do want to apologize for my voice because it is a little bit raspy right now because I've been coughing due to allergies. So I do apologize for that. And I want you to keep watching until the end of this section because I'm going to include some famous people throughout history who have had these karmic debts so that you can see how accurate this is, but more importantly, so that you can see how this is a blessing in disguise. That's the most important thing. It is a blessing in disguise. And you will see that with the famous people examples at the end. So keep watching for that. This is the 716 karmic debt, and I put an example here to show you how to calculate it in case there's any confusion. And you will have this karmic debt if your life path number, especially your life path number, and to a lesser degree, the other numbers in your core chart are a 716. So not just any 7, the final 2 numbers that you got before you arrived at the 7 have to be a 1 and a 6. So basically what this karmic debt is it's the misuse of trust in a previous lifetime. So basically in a past life, you might have been somebody who was given a lot of trust, right? You might have been entrusted by a large group of people, such as you might have been like a leader of a country, or you might have been somebody who was very well off or in charge of a lot of people. Or you might have been somebody who was, trusted within your family, trusted by loved ones. Basically, there were people that had put a lot of trust and faith into you, and there was a misuse of that trust on your part. So you might have been somebody who did untrustworthy things, right? You might have been somebody who went behind people's backs or did things that they were not aware of, and basically, somebody who might have been dishonest and disloyal to people. So, like I said, it's some sort of misuse of trust, right? We don't know exactly what that was, but now in this lifetime, you are learning how to have trust in others, trust in yourself, and trust in the universe, right? Trust is the big thing with this karmic debt. So in order to balance out what happened in that past life, now you are experiencing the other end of it, right? So often the universe will throw very untrustworthy people into your path. And this is very common, where a lot of people that show up turn out to be very dishonest and disloyal, or people that go behind your back. And you're basically being tested by the universe with these kinds of people. Your trust in others is being tested always. And you will find that with this karmic debt, you often have a lot of trust issues, right? You don't trust people because so-and-so did this to you, and you've had this past experience where this person did that to you. That person was thrown into your path as, on purpose, right? Because of this karmic debt, you're experiencing what it's like to be on the other end. The trust is being tested always. Not only that, but you often will have a lot of difficulty trusting yourself when you have this karmic debt. So that's the big one is, you don't always trust your own beliefs. You don't always trust yourself when you come up with solutions and you've figured out how to do something. You don't always trust that this is going to be the best thing. You don't always have a lot of, you just don't always have a lot of trust in your abilities, or you just don't have a lot of trust in yourself in general. So that's pretty common, right? And once again, you're learning how to trust yourself, and you're learning how to trust others, even in the face of people doing horrific things to you, right? That's the game here. That's what it is. You're learning how to trust even when all of that happens. Now, another big one is you're learning how to trust the universe and how to have faith in things that you cannot see. And this is a big one with people with this karmic debt, is often a lack of trust and faith in things that they cannot see. So if they don't have physical proof of something, they will doubt it, right? They will doubt it. And so they don't often have trust and faith that there is a higher power in the beginning, right? Or they do believe in a higher power, but there's a lack of trust in the non-physical world, right? The world that we cannot see. Since we can't see it, they don't trust that it's there. But what ends up happening is a death and rebirth of the ego. So things will happen in their lives, and they'll be given certain things, and they'll feel like they've accomplished certain things, and then it's taken away from them. Just comes crashing down, right? Or they've imagined things to be a certain way, and, it doesn't end up happening the way that they want. And so basically what happens is it's like the ego gets crushed, because this thing that they had that maybe other people were jealous of, and other people thought that they had everything going so well for them, and then it just, it gets taken away from them, or this thing that they wanted so badly, and they really thought that it would happen this way, and it doesn't end up happening that way. It just, it crushes their ego. And it's basically like a process where this happens a lot. So, their ego will be built up because they've achieved certain things, or, they've imagined that they should have a certain thing. Ego gets built up, and it's not what they expect, or it gets taken away from them, and it's crash. And it's a constant cycle of death and rebirth. And sometimes the ego gets overly inflated, and that's when the universe does something to humble them. And they usually end up becoming very humble people as a result. And they end up reaching very high levels of consciousness. So every time something happens to them that crushes their ego, they go out and they try to find the answers, right? They try to find the deeper answers to what's happening and the deeper meaning to life. And they do a lot of soul searching, right? There's a lot of soul searching that happens with this. And as a result of that, it ends up bringing them closer to God, and closer to source energy. And through that process, they end up reaching very high levels of consciousness. And in that process, trust in the universe is finally created, right? They trust the universe. They start trusting in the things that they cannot see. And they end up trusting themselves too. So the trust within themselves develops, and this spills over into their relationships, and the trust within relationship grows. So basically, these people are learning how to master the art of trust, right? And they usually do end up learning this pretty well. And that even if things are not going the way they expected them to, the universe still has their back and is still watching out for them, right? And the universe is always going to be behind the scenes working for them in their favor. And even if things are not happening the way they want them to, there's a higher power behind everything, right? There's a higher purpose for why things are happening. Even if the process of getting to this point can be extremely difficult, they still usually end up getting there at some point. So the blessing of this karmic debt is that they basically reach the highest levels of consciousness that are possible. Some of the most spiritual people in the world have this karmic debt, and people that are really good at connecting over to the other side also, like psychics and mediums, they have this karmic debt. They wouldn't be able to connect to the other side if they didn't have this karmic debt. And you will just see very highly evolved, super consciously aware people with this. And an example of this is Princess Diana. Princess Diana had a 716 karmic debt life path number. And she was somebody who constantly had untrustworthy people and untrustworthy situations being thrown into her life, right? She was constantly being tested with this, with untrustworthy people and untrustworthy events. And she had to develop trust in the universe through all of this. And she was able to do that, right? A lot of things that happened to her, right? I'm sure crushed her ego. And through the process of this, she became one of the most consciously aware people, and one of the most beloved people of all time, right? There's a lot of people that still mourn her death, and she's beloved everywhere in the world. And, she did a lot of things that indicated that she was very highly consciously aware, right? With all of the humanitarian work that she did. So she's a really good example of how you can become an amazing person who other people admire and look up to with this karmic debt. As you can see, this karmic debt is definitely a blessing in disguise, and I want you to see it that way, because the way you see things creates your reality, right? And that's when everything starts to change.
So let us know in the comments below if it turned out that you have a karmic debt, or what I like to call a karmic blessing. Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up and share it with other people. It really helps to get this information out there when you do that. If you want to get a personal reading with me, you can head on over to my website, StarsAlignWithCarmen.com. I would love to have you subscribe and to become part of the family. You can also follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.